Hello, everybody. This is Terence Moore. Welcome to Terence's Take for the week of Monday, December 17th, 2018. And you know what? Let's look at the year in review in sports. We'll deal with a lot of sports, not all the sports. And I'm going to do this in a very unique way. And let us start in February, the Super Bowl. Philadelphia Eagles against the New England Patriots. Okay, Nick Foles, starting quarterback for Philadelphia. He was a backup, became a starter during the season, had this phenomenal year. So here he is near the end of the first half. The Eagles are leading by, 3 points at this point. There's seconds remaining in the first half. 4th and goal from the 1-yard line of New England. And here is Nick Foles lining up behind the center for the moment. And then he starts sliding down the line of scrimmage. And then we have the Philly Special. And this is what the Philly Special sounded like.
This is an unbelievable call. This is like going for the onside kick against Peyton Manning because you don't want him to get the ball too many times. You don't think you can hold him out. And here we go. This could decide the game.
4th and goal. And they're going to snap it. And it's Trey Burton who throws caught. Foles, touchdown. How do you figure?
What a play call by Doug Peterson. This play call has a chance to be remembered as one of the all-time greats, just going for it and to complete the pass that the Patriots could not.
Wow. To Burton, to Foles, Elliott for the extra point.
Wow.
34 seconds.
What a call.
Yes, there was Nick Foles going from quarterback to wide receiver, and he's wide open in the end zone. He catches a pass from Trey Burton, who's a tight end, and that propelled the Eagles toward their first victory, world championship, since 1960 in the National Football League. Now, they had to survive a Hail Mary at the end from the great Tom Brady, but they survived it, and they went on to win the game. Now, that was in February, all right? In January, there was something almost as exciting, probably more exciting. Yeah, this was more exciting. Now, and that took place right here in Atlanta, Georgia, at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. College football national championship game between the Georgia Bulldogs from right down the road here, an hour and a half drive to the east in Athens, Georgia, against Alabama, the dynasty. All right, Georgia's leading 13 points in the second half, and then Nick Saban, he loses his mind. He yanks Jalen Hurts, his starting quarterback for the previous couple of years, and Jalen Hurts had only lost 2 games ever. So he plugs in the backup, Tua Tagovailoa, who barely played. Didn't matter. Apparently he wasn't losing his mind because Tua leads them to a comeback, ties the game, they go into overtime, and Alabama wins the game. And guess what? Tua has not left the starting lineup since then. Well, except for that one time. All right, we're in January now. We were in February with the Super Bowl. We went to January with the national championship game. Let's fast forward to December. Okay, December. We're back here in Atlanta, Georgia. We're back at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and we're back with Alabama against Georgia. This time for the SEC championship. All right. Talking about weird. Remember Johnny Carson? Johnny Carson used to say to Ed McMahon, weird and wild stuff. That's what this was. All right. Alabama is trailing again to Georgia in the second half. This time by 14 points instead of by 13 points. This time, there's another quarterback change, but not because Nick Saban just decided to do it. It's because Tua gets hurt. So now he's got to go back to the starter who became the backup, and now he's the starter again, at least for the rest of this game. Jalen Hurts gets in there here in the second half with them down by 14, leads them to a comeback. Alabama wins. So now Alabama is in the Final Four of the college football playoffs. Alabama, of course, plays Oklahoma next week in Miami in the Orange Bowl in one semifinal game, and the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame from my hometown of South Bend, Indiana. They play Clemson in the other. But I'm getting way ahead of myself. I'm getting so excited. So We were in February, Super Bowl, January, the national championship game in college football. We jumped to December for the SEC championship game here. Let's go over to April. April. What takes place in April? Think about it. Not a lot. Okay, I mean, you got usually, well, in the old days, that's when baseball used to start, but now baseball starts right about now, it seems like. But the Final Four. I know somebody out there said it. You had the Final Four. Now, listen closely here. We have got a secret dynasty going on in college basketball. All right? And the name of the team is, wait for it, Villanova. Villanova has turned into the North Carolina and Duke of our time because Villanova in April won the national championship of college basketball for the second time in 3 years. And get this, they're coached by George Clooney. I mean, you've seen George Clooney out there on the side. Oh, what? Okay, yeah. All right, I'm sorry. It was Jay Wright. But Jay Wright looks like George Clooney. I almost said Nick Clooney because growing up in Cincinnati, one of the places where I grew up in way back when, Nick Clooney is the father who was a great popular television host for years in the Cincinnati area. And he had this son, George Clooney, who's almost just as famous. And George Clooney can't coach basketball. But anyway, we'll just call it George Clooney has won 2 national championships in 3 years in college basketball, or at least his lookalike has. Amazing story there, Villanova. Not as good this year because they lost a lot of players, but nonetheless, a remarkable story. Okay, let's go from April. Let's jump to October. I told you it's going to be unique. I mean, we're going all over the calendar here. All over the calendar. Let's go to October. And you know what takes place in October? The World Series. You know, it was really a non-eventful World Series in the sense that the Boston Red Sox won it again. This time they won it over the LA Dodgers. What has gotten into the Boston Red Sox? Remember all those decades when they couldn't do anything because of the curse of the Bambino? All right? But now they're always winning the World Series. And they won it again. And they won it easily. All right? They won it 4-1 over the Los Angeles Dodgers. So why are we even talking about this? Well, it's because of one game. The game. Game 3. The only game that the Red Sox didn't win during the World Series. Here they are at Dodger Stadium, both teams playing, and, you know, I'm watching this game, you know, here in Atlanta and Eastern time, and it's about 11:30. I'm hanging in there, 12:15, 1 o'clock, time to go to bed. My thing is I'll get up and watch it on ESPN to see what the final score was. 7.5 hours, 7 hours and 20 minutes this game lasted. The longest World Series game in history. It went to the bottom of the 18th inning there at Dodger Stadium. Max Muncy of the Dodgers comes up, and this is what happened.
Game 4 start, but it ends up being almost a Game 3 start.
Muncy flies one in the air to left center. Back at the wall, and it's gone! It's over! Muncy, a walk-off home run to win Game 3 in the 18th. Night.
Exciting stuff. Very exciting stuff. And you know, and I guess you can say that it was somewhat exciting stuff. What happened, let's go to June, all right? We're going back. You know, this is going to be a little exercise. You know, we were in January, well, first February, then we went to January, then we went to December, then we went to April, then we went to October. Okay, so now we're going to go to June. June, NBA playoffs. You're talking about a dynasty? Oh, my goodness, all right? The Golden State Warriors. They've now won the NBA championship 3 out of the last 4 years, all right? And it would have been 4 for 4, but the only team that stopped them right in that middle of that were the Cleveland Cavaliers, I should say. I'm getting ahead of myself because I'm thinking about the Cleveland Browns in the sense of this. When the Cavaliers won their world championship a couple of years ago to stop a 2-year winning streak for Golden State and winning these things, that was the first world championship of any kind for a Cleveland professional team of the major sports since 1964 when the Cleveland Browns of Jim Brown won it all, okay? But anyway, the reason I'm lingering a little bit with the Cavaliers because they had this guy named LeBron James. All right, they had LeBron James. Well, I'll talk about that in a minute. But sticking with that NBA Finals, there was something very interesting that happened in that was probably the most memorable thing that happened in that Finals. You know where I'm going? J.R. Smith. Game 1, here they are. I mean, the game is tied at 107-107. And Cleveland, the huge underdog, when you're playing a team like the Golden State Warriors or one of these powerhouse dynasties, you want to get to them early. So here they are at Game 1 in Oakland, okay? Game is tied. Golden State misses a free throw. J.R. Smith gets the rebound. Oh, my goodness. It's like 5 seconds left, okay? And he dribbles the clock out. And it goes in overtime. And they lose. And he gets swept by the Golden State Warriors. Oh, talking about penny for your thoughts, because, there's this great picture of LeBron James, okay, just standing there waiting for J.R. Smith to throw him the ball so LeBron could make the game-winning shot or something, or game-winning pass, something. But J.R. Smith dribbles out the clock. And later on, after the game, when people ask him, hey, dude, what were you thinking? He didn't know. He couldn't quite. I mean, did you think that you were leading? He did. So it was left for reporters to talk to LeBron James about this, and he was not pleased. Matter of fact, he ended up leaving. But anyway, this is what it sounded like.
Mark, last question.
LeBron, Mark Schwartz, ESPN. From listening to everybody's reaction to the play at the end with JR getting the rebound, there's still confusion about whether JR thought the game was tied or whether he thought you guys were ahead. From where you stood on the court and from talking to him after the play, what's your reaction to it? What's your version?
What do you mean, what's my version?
Well, did he think that the game was tied, or did he think that you guys had it salted away?
How do I know that?
Or did you discuss it at all with him at the end of the play?
No. They asked me if I talked to JR about it. I said no already. I knew it was a tie game. We was down 1. George Hill went up. He made the first one. We got the offensive rebound. I thought we were all aware of what was going on. That's my view. So I don't know what JR was thinking. I don't know the question you're trying to ask.
I was just trying to see if you knew exactly what his state of mind was. Did he think that you guys had it won, or did he think he was trying to make a play?
No.
Not sure.
What do you mean I'm not sure? No, I don't know his state of mind.
Did you know if he knew the score?
Yeah, that could be why LeBron left and went to the LA Lakers. Couldn't take it anymore. Of course, he went to the Lakers for other reasons. He wanted to do stuff for his brand and all that sort of thing. And they're winning a little bit, too. And he's going to be the next Kobe and Magic and Jerry West. At least in his mind, he'll never be as big as those guys in L.A. I mean, he'll still be big because he's LeBron, but he'll never be those guys. But that was another huge story. LeBron actually left to go to L.A. I'm a little bit shocked by that. Some people aren't, but anyway, it is what it is. Hey, let's go to college basketball again. All right, I just talked about Villanova at the beginning of the year in April, and let's come down to the end of this year, to right about now. Duke, oh my goodness, Duke's got these 3 great freshmen. R.J. Barrett, right? You got Cam Reddish, and I'm gonna set it up this way. I do this TV show here in Atlanta every Sunday night. I got this segment called, wait for it, Terence's Take. The other Terence's Take, the TV version. And we're talking about how bad the Atlanta Hawks are. And they're really, really bad. It's like the Hawks are playing for the lottery. All right? And so I said on the air that the Hawks have this tremendous organist, a guy named Sir Foster. And I said that for every game, before every Hawks game the rest of the year, Sir Foster, the organist for the Hawks, should be playing that old church hymn that goes, "We're marching to Zion, Beautiful, beautiful Zion, we're marching upward to Zion, that beautiful player from Duke. You know what I'm talking about. Zion Williamson. I mean, he is fabulous. He will look good in anybody's lineup, right? Okay, NBA or whatever. But Duke is a powerhouse. But you know, that took a little bit of the some of the despair away in college basketball because it got off to a rocky start this year, and it was off the court, and that's because the FBI was investigating all the weird and crazy things that are going on, and not in a good way in that sport as far as illegal recruiting and players getting paid, and you had the various sneaker companies involved and coaches. And speaking of coaches, Rick Pitino, the Hall of Fame coach of the Louisville Cardinals, he had to go after 16 years because he was caught up in the middle of the scandal, and he's gone, at least for the moment. So that was bad. That was really bad. But before I leave college basketball, I got to go through one more good thing. Okay, we're talking about where we had good, we had bad. We had the good thing with Duke and the freshmen, and the bad thing. But the good thing, and we're going to go back to March. We just about got all the months covered now. All right? The FBI scandal during the summer. We got Duke, that's like whatever. We can say September, October, November with the freshmen. But March Madness, you had this thing that had never taken place before. A number 16 seed in the tournament, NCAA basketball tournament, upset a number 1 seed. And that's when Loyola Chicago knocked off Virginia. And Loyola Chicago was powered by a nun. Remember Sister Jean? Oh, what a great story that was. Sister Jean, she sat right behind the bench all the time. She's still there, by the way. Sister Jean became this national phenomena, and that just helped make college basketball a better place, despite the FBI. Let's jump over to a couple other sports, a couple of individual sports. Let's go with tennis. Quickly, when it comes to tennis in this country, nobody cares about men's tennis. People barely care about women's tennis. And the reason that they barely care about it, which is better than not caring about it at all, is because of the Williams sisters. They're still around. An amazing story, yet Serena Williams having a baby, and then she's still out there competing in Grand Slam tournaments. Oh, what a tremendous story, all right? But it wasn't as tremendous as this. It wasn't as tremendous as what happened in golf. Tiger is back. The guy is 42 years old. He's had 4 knee surgeries, 4 back surgeries, numerous issues off the golf course with a wife chasing him with the golf club. The DUI he had back in in the spring of 2017. All these different various issues. But you know what? He's back. And golf couldn't be happier because of the ratings. And matter of fact, he was so back this year, no pun intended, because of his back surgeries. He was so back this year that he even won his first tournament in 5 years. It was a tour championship. Everything comes back to Atlanta, Georgia here, right? Everything involves Atlanta, Georgia. Last year, the tour championship right here in Atlanta, Georgia, Tiger won it, and this is what he said afterwards. He was all choked up.
I want to welcome and congratulate Tiger Woods, our champion of the 2018 Tour Championship, 3rd time winning this event. Your first win in 5 years and your 80th PGA Tour victory. Of the 80 wins, where does this one rank?
It's certainly up there with obviously all the major championships I've won, Players, World Golf Championships. But this is under different circumstances, I've explained throughout the year that I just didn't know whether, when this would ever happen again, or if I could somehow piece together a golf swing, this year, I feel like I could do it. My hands are good enough, and I just didn't know if I could, piece together a golf swing, but somehow I've been able to do that, and here we are.
Tiger, Tiger, Tiger. He's going to win the Masters next year in April. Yeah, watch and see. Okay. All right, and let's close with a couple things. Football. Football's still huge in this country, bigger than anything. And I know what you're going to say about, what about soccer? Again, everything comes back to Atlanta, Georgia. Right here, the champions of Major League Soccer, the Atlanta United, playing before 70,000 people, generally speaking, for most matches here at home. They're a phenomenon. They've only been around for 2 years, and people are going nuts over Atlanta United in this city, and particularly after they just won the world championship, the first world championship in this city since the 1995 Atlanta Braves. Oh, people are really soccer crazy in here for the moment, but I mean, this is still a football town. There's a football town everywhere, more so than anything else. But I just want to touch a little bit with college football again, and then I'm going to close with the big mama, the National Football League. And I know what you're saying about the National Football League. Well, I'm not. Stop that stuff. Everybody still watches the National Football League, but I digress. College football. You had this amazing story this year with these transfers, the people who transferred or thinking about transferring and who didn't transfer, okay? Clemson has been, I've had a theme on this podcast today. Clemson has had this dynasty, that nobody's been looking at as much as, say, the Alabama dynasty with the 5 national championships under Nick Saban. Clemson's only had 1 national championship here during this run, but they've been pretty dominant. Okay, well, that Clemson, Kelly Bryant had been their quarterback of note and for a lot of that dynasty. He gets benched this year for a freshman, Trevor Lawrence, and guess what? Clemson is still ranked number 2 and playing, again, Notre Dame in a national championship game. Pretty amazing, all right? So that's a transfer that left. Right now, talking about Georgia. Georgia finished 5th in the country this year. Justin Fields is a hotshot quarterback. He's talking about transferring. He's tired of sitting behind Jake Fromm, who's a future NFL quarterback. But then going back the other way, you had the Alabama situation I just told you about, where Jalen Hurts, when he was, beaten out at the beginning of this year by Tua, he decided to stay, and he got a chance to get in that game. All right. And then Notre Dame, you got Brandon Wimbush. Brandon Wimbush was a starter. He had only lost 2 games in his career as a starter over a couple of years. Ian Book takes his place at the beginning of this season, and now Notre Dame is in the national, in the Final Four, the college football playoff. So you've got the transfer thing. And I just mentioned Notre Dame. I love just mentioning Notre Dame. All right? Brian Kelly. People owe this man an apology. How many times have you heard people saying that? Well, how come they keep Brian Kelly around? Brian Kelly recently won the Home Depot Coach of the Year award for the second time, actually the third time at Notre Dame. No coach had ever won that award more than once. He's won it 3 times. He was also just named Associated Press Coach of the Year. This is the same Brian Kelly that finished with a 12-0 record this year at Notre Dame. The same Brian Kelly who has had 2 undefeated seasons at Notre Dame in 6 years. Okay? So lay off the guy. Anyway, let's finish with the NFL. I said it's a big mama. People talk about this and about the NFL. Okay, well, whatever. But you know what? Last year, the NFL made $14 billion with a B. $15 billion. People still watch the NBA or the NFL and the NBA, but they watch the NFL. All right. And I want to close by talking about some different departments involving the NFL. And let's start with the, even though it's still, people watch it, the NFL is still victimized by they never learn department. And I'm referring to Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt is the star, or was the star running back for the Kansas City Chiefs. And he was exposed a few weeks ago as being a woman beater. He was caught on tape, videotape, kicking a woman, shoving a woman, and God knows what else he was doing to that woman on that videotape in the hallway of a hotel. All right, and here's the thing. This was a few weeks ago, but this took place in February. And it only took till the video was exposed by TMZ before the NFL and his NFL team did anything about it. You know, Kansas City dropped him immediately. The NFL said put him on their secret, double secret probation list, whatever they call that thing, and whatever it means. Yeah, you're right. This sounds familiar because it should. Because 4 years ago, you had the Ray Rice situation, which was exactly the same thing, except it involved his fiance. And that was another videotape that was involved. That also took place in February. That was also exposed by TMZ, and it also took forever before the NFL did something about it and his team. But anyway, I digress. So that's the first one. The second department is the, you ever hear that old chant in sports? Overrated. Overrated. All right. The national anthem controversy. First of all, it's not a controversy. Yeah, I mean, if you are a player exercising your constitutional right to protest, nonviolently, you're allowed to do it. And they're doing it for a good cause. Social injustice. They're fighting social injustice. So, I mean, what's the big... So that aside, okay, and let me get this out of the way. I know about Colin Kaepernick still doesn't have a job, okay? I know about Eric Reed, the Pro Bowl safety. It took forever for him to hook on with an NFL team, and he's playing for the Carolina Panthers now. And in the beginning, when he started to kneel, there was problems there in Carolina. I know about all that, but think about this. Think about this. Quick. Answer this real quick. All right. When's the last time you read or heard somebody talk about a controversy involving players kneeling or sitting during the national anthem? I'm waiting. I'm still waiting. You don't hear anything about. I mean, this was a big deal, last year and the year before that, but not so much. It's gone. It's a controversy that's passed, and it should have passed because it shouldn't have been a controversy to begin with. All right. Let's go to the hot and cold department. Remember at the beginning of this season when everybody had their hair on fire over, what is a tackle? What is a sack? Because referees were blowing their whistles like crazy and throwing flags over defensive backs, nailing quarterbacks or barely touching quarterbacks or breathing on the quarterback. And then it was considered a violation because they had changed the rules that they were getting tougher on what you can do with the crown of the helmet and where you can hit a quarterback. I mean, it was a mess. Everybody was talking about that. All right, quick. When's the last time you heard anybody talking about that? Still waiting. See what I mean? Another controversy that came away. Yeah. So either one of two things happened. All right. Either the referees adjusted or the players adjusted. I guess there's a third option. Maybe they both adjusted. Okay. Let's close with this. Aaron Rodgers. You know who Aaron Rodgers is? The future Hall of Fame quarterback for the Green Bay Packers. I mean, this guy's always leading comebacks. And I want you to hear something here. This is the Green Bay Packers announcers, radio announcers, describing in sort of a one thing after another, with edited out all the extraneous stuff, talking about Aaron Rodgers down the stretch of a game of a comeback. This is what it sounds like.
Rodgers takes it himself straight ahead. He's to the 40, slides to a stop 45-yard line, and someone jumped him from behind. Rodgers wants to clock the ball. They've got it to the 45-yard line. Reed closed on him defensively. 21-yard scamper. Rodgers take. Snap to Rodgers. Soft coverage on the corners. Rodgers throws the out left side. Got Devontae out of bounds. Side. And Equinemius St. Brown. Snap to Rodgers looking right. Throws the right side. St. Brown makes the catch. Nice reach back. Out of bounds. Oh, he reached back to gather it in, using all 6'5" of his frame. Tumbled out of bounds inside the 30 of the 10. Rodgers shotgun with a sent back to his left. Snap to Rodgers. Looking downfield, throws the left side. Devontae's got it out of bounds inside the 10-yard line. Bradley the snap. J.K. Scott down on one knee, arm extended. Here it is. Placement made. Kick is up. It is good. It is good. Mason Crosby delivers the dagger. 1 week after his worst day ever, he delivers the dagger tonight.
Wow, Aaron Rodgers is something. Aaron Rodgers is so significant and so fantastic. Guess what? He's not in the playoffs. All right? He's not in the playoffs. I mean, you know who else is not in the playoffs among great quarterbacks, or at least significant quarterbacks? Matt Ryan, Atlanta Falcons. He's not in the playoffs. Playoffs? All right? Matthew Stafford, Detroit Lions. He's sitting at home. He won't be he'll be watching instead of playing during the postseason. Derek Carr of the Oakland Raiders, the same thing. Oh, and Jimmy Garoppolo, San Francisco 49ers. Yeah, that's 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 5 guys. That's 5 guys. Oh, and another guy, Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins is a quarterback of the Minnesota Vikings. They're right on the edge of making the playoffs for that second wild card spot in the National Football Conference. Just right on, barely, okay? But let's just say they're not into it, in it right now. So that's it. That's Aaron Rodgers, that's 1. Matt Ryan, that's 2. Jimmy Garoppolo, that's 3. Matthew Stafford, that's 4. Derek Carr, that's 5. And then you got, Kirk Cousins hanging by a spread, that's 6. So, in case you wonder where I'm going with this, 5.5 of the top 6 highest paid quarterbacks in the National Football League will not be in the playoffs. Interesting. But you know who will be in the playoffs? Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes, 23 years old, okay? First year as a full-time starter with the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, Kansas City saw something in this kid, and that's why they traded Alex Smith before the season. Patrick Mahomes, I mean, this is good. He grew up in White House, Texas. His father, Pat Mahomes, I remember him. He was a major league pitcher, and so Patrick is his son. And when he was growing up in Texas, played for a pretty good high school team, football. Patrick did, but nobody recruited him of note. I mean, yeah, they had a chance to probably go to Houston and the Rice, but I mean, nobody takes those two teams seriously when it comes to football. But he ends up at Texas Tech, and it's like, oh, this guy can play. All right. Now he's in the NFL. It's like, oh, this guy can really play. Yeah, he's got 45 touchdowns right now. He's setting all these NFL records. All these, it's just amazing. He can throw with either hand. He's spectacular. So, again, people are watching the NFL again, whether they like it or not, or whether they say so or not, and they're watching Patrick Mahomes. They're not going to be watching Aaron Rodgers or Matt Ryan or Jimmy Garoppolo or Matthew Stafford or Derek Carr, maybe not even Kirk Cousins, but they'll be watching the rest of these people the rest of the way. Anyway, that's my year in review. And I want everybody to have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. But, I'm going to wish you a Happy New Year again next week for more Terence's Take. And I'm telling you something, it's another very special show. See ya.